because it has this like woody attack.
Yes, yeah.
Where's that from? I mean the hi-hats I'm talking about now, or the shakers, or what we should call them. The sound.
So at first you have this nice option inside your product that you have like this stereo, right?
Yeah.
And you have really a nice EQ or like a nice envelope inside. And if you combine this with like two different hi-hats or like maybe something which is a snare and you put out of a snare like a hi-hat, this is like a nice option also to get a bit more this sharp sound. And if you combine like 2 or 3 of that sounds, you get a kind of complex hi-hat or percussion situation. So you see here, you have now here just 2 hi-hats in this case. When I put them now together.
Because that sound is dubbing.
Here you have a reverse, so you have just like a bass sound, which is giving it in a way when the pad comes, like to make it a bit like more bauchig in German, like to give it more volume. Yeah.
Body.
Exactly, body.
The sound has so much body.
Exactly. Dub music, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but in the text, we go to the next. So.
Nice. Whoa.
Berlin.
The master of hi-hats. Oh my god.
I like hi-hats. Yes.
Wow. And there's so fine textures.
Yeah, I mean this stuff is super good. I mean like you can build up super easily something which is like getting out of this straightness. I mean, you work a bit like with the accents here. You work a bit with this in total, and especially if you change something. One button. You know? So
amazing. And I really like that you like this is how you use it.
I mean, this is like how it is going, right? I mean, like you want to use it as something. Not what somebody else is telling you, how you actually feel well with the software and how you use it for yourself. I mean, this is how you build a modular system. This is how you build your own setup. And if you have this, kind of combination, I mean, then you start also to use your software like that. So now you have like this kind of typical straight beat, what you also want to listen in a club, hopefully. Yeah. But the
and
fun
also
part,
a great starting point for someone else.
Exactly, exactly. And in this case, I mean, now we have only. Let's take out and let's take just my stuff in. So you have like directly another one.
Nice.
The hi-hat work is actually really made by XO. It's actually really the mix down of working with the velocity in the single steps, in a single sequencer, and then in combination with the accentuator in German. So this combination out of this sequencer plus the accentuator, that this makes really the difference. He's immediately changing everything that you have, like a feeling of, okay, I can make it straight. I can make out of something straight, something more breaky, something more like claptic. And this is really what I like. I mean, 4 faders and a big change. And especially if I'm doing already something on the other machines, it's nice to just work with one mouse click and to change immediately like this option. And then you have this exactly inside of the program with only 2 or 3 faders. And you hear directly in a bassline sound how it gives like this kind of push inside, so which works also nicely because this is bonded to the rest of the sound. So if the hi-hat goes down, this bass sound is also going down, so you get a groove. And if this is getting more complex or you change it only with 1 or 2, you have directly like a new part of your track finish. So you don't need actually 3 different versions of a preset. You can easily just say I have one basic version, but I do use this in a live situation, in a live recording situation, to change something immediately. This is making this wobbly effect that you don't have this static thing going on. I mean, this is what you don't want. You don't want the static feeling. This is also why people are still using like old 909 or 808 because they give somewhere a groove inside of it. Together with the main filter, you get this strange vibes out, you get this percussive things out, and this is like how stuff is gluing differently together.
Wow.
Everything is now triggered with different amounts. I mean, here you have here different amounts, so you can switch easily now to this, and I can say I want to have this more in a negative. Directly different. You have like this kind of compromising kick sound.
Wow.
Yeah, this needs a couple of more variations. Yeah, timeless in my opinion.
It's so good, man.
Thank you. Happy
Wow.
that you like.
Where's the room from on the drums? Is it EXO or have
EXO.
you? Yeah. 'Cause it's so nice. It sounds like a.
I mean, I worked also with a lot of reverb in the samples, so you get the sample already with the reverb, but together with the effects of EXO plus the situation of like panning, you can make it really big. And this is what I like with the flex sounds, but also like with, for example, like having like a nice clap with like a reverb.
And then you use the Haas effect to make it so it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it depends. The Haas effect is, I would say, like a mix of how you pitch the sound sometimes, how it goes together with the echo of the effects of it.
Yeah.
And if you have like, for example, two hi-hats and they have like kind of same, they phase together and then they make like some sounds which are bringing like something inside which feels like a third effect, which is actually not existing. So this is like how it comes from the sample when the sample really fit together. Let's take this sound for example.
Yeah.
If you are going now inside of this. So and I worked really a lot in the when I did the process of the patterns. I was really working a lot with this small window. And then you get like tons of different samples out of just one, of course. It's easier.
It's so smart to make, if you have a few source files, you get a sound.
At first this,
palette.
and this is also how you get this organic wooden sounds, because this is like just in a, I mean this
with the
together like,
yeah,
I mean this is, I mean, it's a totally different basic start, how you can start with a drum machine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just out of changing one sample and just find like a nice spot what you want to show up.
Just finding the sweet spots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In this idea, I have this flex sound, which is actually a pad or like a kind of chord. And I take it to take like something out that it's getting more percussive, but it has like this harmony inside. So if you combine this again with like a pad sound with a chord or something else, you will find a sweet spot. You will find something where it makes sense to put them together. And that's why I use also like before EXO, where I really love to work on it, like to use like harmonic sounds, samples, or like creating samples like that, and to bring them over to a percussion sound. And that makes, of course, more sense for the track, because in the end you want like something which is one, and not only here's my hi-hat, this is like a 808-ish hi-hat, and that you recognize the sounds. I mean, this is what I always hate in a club, if I start like to recognize what are the different sounds inside of the track, what the DJ is playing right now. I mean, then you know, you want the glue, you want like a track which is like one. I would say with XO it's really good to, really possible, really easy possible to make this. But it was also like in my process what I had before, how can I bring them together? Each pattern or each sound was like already, before I made the patterns, was already in combination existing before I record the sample. So I had like here, for example, sometimes I was working with the samples on the poly end before I recorded this again, and to see, okay, how is like the pitch sound? Of course, I can change the pitch sound easily in EXO, but if I have already something which has like a range and where I want to go, of course, it's easier in the end to use it, and in the end easier also to combine it with like this 280 other sounds or what it is in the end. So, but for me personally, it was always the focus, or is always the focus, like how can I bring the sounds together? So also like in my process here in the studio, it's always the connection of, okay, how can I combine this synthesizer with this synthesizer, or this synthesizer with this synthesizer, and maybe this is playing something more deep and having like some effects inside, and maybe this is making like a longer decay that it's getting a pad, but the complexity is, I mean, I don't want to recognize in the end, oh yeah, nice, it's a Prophet sound. This is not where I get hyped in.
In your EXO pack here,
Yeah.
where are the sounds coming from?
So this is now the Matriarch which is playing. This is also running and connected to this one. So when I record a sound, you just give this inside. And when I play this now, you get directly the second layer. So, record. I mean, in combination now with the others. This is all three together, just one hand. So I use like just like my scalings to bring it up, and then I can much more focus also on the machines. And this is how you want to sound. I mean, in this case, you normally my process is like making long takes of 20-30 minutes, then taking splits, some stuff out, making like that my sounds exactly.
It's nice, it runs with your philosophy to bake something.
Exactly.
And then you can't like edit.
Exactly, it is not, you don't see the single synthesizers anymore. And I mean, this is like how it works. I mean, like if that's also why I live in a living studio, because if I have friends here, we are talking, I'm just doing stuff, we are doing something like interaction, but in the end, it's the same process, you know? You're doing something, maybe I can record it now, and then it all comes together, and that's also how I build up the studio situation, and how also the EXO pack is built up, because everything builds. This is this hi-hat stuff, what you like?
Tell me more.
So you have here like a hi-hat, and the nice part on the pulsar is like with the manipulation inside of the machine, you get easily something organic out of it, right?
Yeah.
So now you have this LFO, and the LFO is like triggering stuff that you have not a feeling of a straight hi-hat. And if you record something like that, you get like the basement, and now the combination is like getting this, for example, into the Moog and working with the Moog filter on top. This is like how it goes.
Yeah.
So this is like another kind of process what I like. And I have also one really lovely thing, which is like also the answer of your question of the how is it like getting so wooden. And this baby, the natural gates, it's like a kind of low pass gate, which is doing really like everything super snappy. So you can easily work like from the pulsar, for example, it doesn't matter a kick drum or like also a percussion sound. You go inside here, you go maybe inside another filter sound, and you have directly like a plucky sound, which is like not this, but everything together again. And this is how the percussion and also the flex came out.
Amazing. It's a cheesy word, but I like the castagnette. quality of it. You know, it's like
yeah, because
hollow.
it feels
wooden,
like somebody is. It's not like take the sound, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's more like take the sound, more like cozy. It glues together, and you don't know. What is it? It sounds like big because of the filter of the Moog, maybe, but it has also something which is like small in details and giving like this note that you don't recognize anymore the Moog or don't recognize anymore the samples inside. And I mean, this is how you can bring them together. And this is like that I really also in the end don't recognize anymore what happened here.
With music making, I always like to compare it to cooking. But it's like you have a slow cook, you know.
Yeah.
You wait enough time to get all the blends together, and then in the end you can't really tell what's what.
I mean, it's super. It sounds sometimes super romantic, but it's also pain in the ass if you're not coming to the end of the result because you have so many options. You know, like this and this and this, and then you have like another 30-minute recording and stuff like that. This is like the problem of this process. But in this case, if we talk about EXO, I would say it makes sense. Yeah.